Welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and today is Wednesday, May 19th, excuse me. First disclaimer in front of you, everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. This video is for education purposes only. So I would say theme of the day, pretty encouraging price action, all things being considered. S&P finished just fractionally lower for the session, but you could see very nice move off the lows. By the way, if the screen is blurry or you can't read anything, it's just because YouTube has not rendered the high def version. You could just give it some more time. I also put the screen print out on Twitter. You could follow along that way. Yeah, S&P almost came all the way back to flat, and the Nasdaq super strong. That's kind of what we want to see on days like this. When we start the day lower, you want to see investors try to take advantage of that dip and go in and start buying a little bit. IWM also moved throughout the day higher. Still finished. That was the underperformer for the day, down about 0.75%. Bonds were a little bit all over the place too. A lot of movement with, we kind of had two different events that went on for the day. Number one was the crypto stuff. I'm not going to talk about that because I'm sure if you turn on any financial media, they'll talk about the big moves that happened in the crypto space. So I'll leave that for them. The second was the Fed minutes, right? This is from the Fed meeting at the end of April, but they release a formal notes that from that meeting, or a summary from that meeting, and there's some things that kind of push around the markets when that comes out. I think the main thing was, anything you mentioned, the T word, taper, right? Even the discussion of a taper, the market kind of hiccups a little bit. So it just kind of tells you that that's going to be a topic for some time to come. That's not going to go away, and I think whenever the Fed does bring that up, you're going to have a little bit of volatility. It's just something that we're going to have to live with, for the next couple months till when they officially do announce it. I will give you my opinion, as I always do. I wish they would just kind of come out and mention, start putting together a schedule, release it to the public. This way we don't have to go through this pain every time the Fed speaks about will they, won't they, what they're looking at. But I truly think that these Fed governors they like being in the spotlight, right? They like to hear themselves talk. They like to talk and think that they're financial wizards talking about obvious things about employment and inflation, and they like that everybody's hanging on their last word. So that's my opinion. Can you tell I'm a little bit tired of the Fed speak? Just set a schedule and just do it. Anyway, let's get to the price action. I give you my little rants from time to time. So let's talk about the price action first. Let me go over the indices. I actually got faked out here a little bit today because I was pretty active in the morning, and then I really wanted to see where we were going to close. Now, this is not all in all like hugely convincing. But in terms of my levels that we look at, or I'll even turn on the market profile so you could kind of see. Of course, I look at volume at price, and I use the MarketWebs indicator to help me with that. But really good support and resistance levels all the time with this stuff. So here was the 50-day moving average, which everybody is looking at, right? We did stay above this rising 50-day moving average. We also closed inside value. So hey, that's pretty darn good considering where we were earlier, and we'll see if we can build off this floating hammer candle. That would be great, and I think that we have a chance to kind of build off of today's price action and possibly start to head back up, but we'll see. This was a nice, obviously we had this move down. We had a move up, and then another kind of shakeout here. So I really think this is kind of shaking the trees a little bit, but we'll see. We do need that follow through activity. It's been very difficult to predict these days, one day after another. It seems like the more positions you add on in this environment, the more difficult this environment is right now. At least that's my take. From my trading account standpoint, I think the less positions that you have on right now, the more flexible, the more that you can move with this market, the more that you can move around, especially when there's this. Obviously, we've seen value rotation, but maybe a little bit of a rotation back into growth. Just a touch. So I want to talk about that too. Let me just finish going through the technicals. Going over to the 1 hour chart. What I was basically looking at for the day was, hey, once we get back into value, then that's my support level to trade against, right? And that was the case for S&P. I traded the Qs today. I just thought that the Qs, they looked a little bit better on that 1 hour bar to me. They were showing a little bit of strength around the open. So I got involved in the Qs today just for a scalp trade. I didn't hold it through the end of the day or end of the session or anything like that. I got out, around midday, and I was happy with that. But I was looking for something a little bit different, in terms of seeing some growth areas. So I was open to that, and I was, talking about pre-market playing either the Dow, because the Dow has been a little bit stronger, and that did fine today. It just really didn't have that much movement from the lows. It was really the Qs and the growth areas that moved a lot. But we go back to the Qs here just for a minute because I just want to detail some levels. But we got back to this virgin point of control. And we held it too. So not only like bottom value on the 1 hour, and this virgin point of control where we bounced last time, right? So again, we still have some heavy lifting to go, but maybe this puts in some type of a double bottom around here. Again, nice volume, by the way, on this move too. So maybe this kind of hammers that out, and we start to do some type of recovery from here. All right, so that I'm optimistic for tomorrow. It's really tough. It's really tough to be super optimistic with this type of price action from day to day. IWM also constructive, but still was the worst performer out of the indices today. But still very sideways, below value, which is not great, but hanging on to this support level, which is right around 212. All right, so here's what I liked for the day. All right, I noticed a couple things like solar. Now let me talk about the difference between the price action that we saw today versus a few days ago when growth outperformed. I like to see, the difference is we start the day down and we see buying throughout the session versus, we saw this a few days ago where growth did some pre-market gains, opened up a couple percent, some areas of the market, but then really didn't have any major momentum, past like a half an hour past the open, right? To me, that's not really convincing. It's a bit harder to trade as well. I liked what we saw today. The solar names going from, where they started the day, they started lower, and they closed higher. Now again, they're still way buried below, the 200-day moving average, but you got to start somewhere, right? And you can kind of pick through some names that are a little bit better, that are not below the 200-day moving average. But that's a real nice move by a group that's been completely absent the last couple months, right? Managed to rally 6% from the open today. So that's kind of what I traded a little bit of Sunrun today. Right? Again, this is another name that's way buried, ugly looking chart, but maybe it rallies a little bit more. Right? DQ is probably one of the better looking ones in the space. I know it's China, which makes it very volatile and risky. China solar name, but I've traded this name now a couple times. I did not trade it today, but I've traded this name a couple times in the past, and it's worked for me. So you got some resistance coming at 80, but again, it's actually better looking than the overall ETF. It's above the moving averages. It's inside value. It's actually above all the short-term moving averages. So That's just interesting. CSIQ is another one that I was watching. Um, let's wait. Yeah, that one's also really gotten beaten up. SunPower, could get back over that 200-day moving average. Again, why the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average is so important to me is because I'm a trend trader, right? I like to have something to trade against, right? I always will have ideas, right? Trade ideas, thoughts. If I could back that up with the technicals and have something that will tell me when my idea is right or wrong, right? We all have ideas, and some of those ideas are going to be right, some of those are going to be wrong. If you've been trading for a while, you know that you have to get over being wrong from time to time, right? And be able to kind of trade out of things, right? That's what kind of keeps you in the game. That's what also keeps you, in my opinion, a profitable trader. Just having too much conviction and not willing to sell when a name doesn't work right or a trade doesn't go right is really where you get yourself into trouble. All right. So anyway, that's more of my philosophy, but we talk more about that in the trading room. Another group, right? So I started to talk a little bit about China. The Chinese internets, right, finished positive for the day. JD.com had earnings, nice move there. There was quite a bit of action in PDD calls. Right, this is clearly a volatile name too, but they really seem to like this one. So here's how, if you go to that daily chart, it looks very complicated to me. I don't like complicated when I'm trading. Right? I don't like how this is below value. You got some overhead resistance at 131. What you could do as well is you could kind of just trade off this 1 hour chart and say, hey, here's my stop, 125. Right, and see if this thing can kind of get through some of those overhead levels. 130, there's a VPOC up here at 133. Right, so I put on a little lotto trade in this PDD. Another area that we've talked about is this upstart. Right, we talked about a lotto trade. I gave a weekly call spread idea in the trading room yesterday for about $1.10. For $5 wide call spread, you maybe be able to get that trade for a whole $5 by Friday. Right? I talked about I think it was the 120, 125 call spread. So very, very strong, right? Let me see what that was. Was it 125 or was it 125, 130? Bear with me 2 seconds. Let's see. Yeah, so here it is. This is the idea from 2 days ago. Sorry, not yesterday. 2 days ago. Yeah, the 120, 125 call spread. You could have got in again, short term, kind of a lotto for $1.10. So this should be marking close to $3.50, $4 at this point. So for $1.10, that was a nice way to kind of play that, right? A pretty volatile name, right? Sometimes you want to be risking as least amount of money as possible for a short term, to give something a short term shot at, right? So for $1.10, this thing basically a home run, right? I have stock on for it, so that worked for me. I took a target today at where I thought that there was resistance, right, which is 127. Right at this VPOC, but hey, we managed to get over it, so that's a great sign. Right? There was also one on, so this thing paused right where I thought it would. They are who we thought they were. Sorry, here's the VPOC takeout here. Right, so again, a lot of things lined up around this 127 to 130 level, but we managed to get above it. Right, and so now we've got some open road if this thing wants to carry. Next, 154 could be the next place where I see some resistance for this thing, which would be lovely for the trade that I have on. So nice to see. So like I said, nice to see some of the growth, something different to to move. So, my goal always is to stay objective. If you've been watching my videos now for like the last couple weeks to last couple months, you know that I've been, mainly trading a lot of value areas, and it's not because I'm a value trader. It's just because that's what's been working in the market. There's been momentum. There's been really nice setups. But as I've said, the one thing that I continue to say is with some of these growth names is I continue to monitor very closely if they're going to start to set up. Which leads me to the next area, which I think is constructive too. The semiconductors finished positive. This group has looked horrible over the last couple weeks, right? So again, they've got work to do, right? They're below the 50-day moving average, which I think is a no-no. But you got to start somewhere, and I think this is a lovely looking place to start. Right, to start to reclaim some names. Applied Materials reports after the close tomorrow, but if you go through some names, you're going to find the names that look a little bit better. Right, my favorite within the group is probably ASML. I know this is not an easy name to trade, but it looks pretty good. We'll see if AMAT can deliver. I mean, I think that they're going to deliver. It depends on the reaction. See if that can get back above the 50-day moving average. UCTT is another name that's almost there, right? Almost in value. That could take one more day, and that could trigger on my indicator, the MarketWebs indicator. AMD had a nice day today, but this stock, I think you got to be careful with this one. I know a lot of people like AMD, but when this thing has a big green candle, it's been a big fat, sell the green candle day. But we'll see. Again, I try to stay open to things to see if things can kind of change. But every time this thing has seen a big green candle over the last few months, it's been a huge buy. It's been a huge selling opportunity. Sell the rip. All right. So until some things change, still have to kind of stay on that side to say sell the rip when you get, when a name moves into a downtrend, that's how your mind has to think. Okay, let me say that again. From a trend trading standpoint, when a name gets into a downtrend, and believe it or not, AMD is in a downtrend. It's below the 200-day moving average, right? That's by definition. When it's below the 200-day moving average, you should be selling the rip until it changes character. So, just like here, another one. Great day to sell. All right. So I will change as the price action tells me to. Very important. All right. So that whole group. What else? I just want to go through the semiconductors a little bit more here. We'll look at. ADI had earnings. Marvell, that's the name I was thinking of. Marvell saw a whole bunch of call activity today. Up 4.8% for the day. Nice turnaround there. Now that did get back above the 200-day moving average. Again, just like UCTT, just needs to go a little bit further. Now again, if you day traded it, fine, perfect. Sometimes what I do with these names that are really beaten up like this is if I get in for a day trade, I take targets during the day and then I leave like the last piece on, right? All right, so the semiconductor. So again, so clean energy, mostly solar, the semiconductors, and the Chinese internet names. If you want to, you could look too. You could see that the software names acted pretty well today too. So let's hope that this can kind of be the start of something and not another sell the rip day. Even though today wasn't really a sell the rip day, it was a nice. They were buying today, so we'll see if we can kind of build from here. And I think, for now, I'm still not really that confident. Like I said, we're kind of building a little bit. But as far as my, trades go, I took off a couple things that I started for the day. I took off Airbnb around 3 o'clock today because it just wasn't moving fast enough. These names really have to show me something, right? We talked about that in yesterday's video, right? Instead of you making predictions, right? Or instead of me making predictions, I want these names to work for me, right? Like it's an interview, right? Like you're interviewing names. Show me something good. you know, Tell me about your positives and your weaknesses, right? And if they don't fit, if they don't pass the interview, then you don't put a then you don't keep them, right? You're the CEO of your trading book. These names have to prove it to you, not the other way. You're not selling them on you know or selling Twitter. That's what everybody is doing. Convincing people, right? Let these names convince you. All right. So very important. Such a different, like, I think, way to think about things than you open up Twitter and everybody's trying to convince you of you know this is going to the moon and with a rocket ship emoji. So it's not my style. Sorry. What else for the day? Yeah, you could see. So I got out of some things. Run was we. I talked about that name. And yeah, and I got some good questions today in the trading room about what happens if you get your names are close to a stop, or if they hit a stop intraday. I try to give the market the benefit of the doubt through the day, right? The closing print is the most important thing. So I did decide, I've kind of been heavy into the material space, which wasn't acting particularly well today. So I just decided to cut the weakest position, right, and left the other ones on. All right, so that's it for today's recap. But again, my main message for the day, other than kind of giving giving you my rants here and there, is that we'll see if we can kind of build off of some of these things. Right? We did see that nice Chinese internet call buyer, yesterday. I think that was a pretty good buy, by somebody. So again, we'll continue to look for these clues, and we'll see how it goes. And I think overall too, the goal in this back and forth price action is to kind of keep your sanity, keep your confidence, and then deploy some capital when you feel really confident, when you have the conviction to do it. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great night, and see you tomorrow.